As you know, I had you kind of do a little brainstorming. So if you wouldn't mind finishing the prompt, I think AI is
changing the world. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but
yeah.
I was going to say the future, but it's not.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Brainiac Blueprint, where we discuss the intersection of AI and how it impacts business and the world around us with our esteemed guests. I'm your host, Kyle Lambert, founder of Left Brain AI and Action Hero Marketing. In today's episode, we discuss how even in-person events and conferences are able to use AI. With that being said, today's Brainiac is Amanda Ciccatelli. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kyle. Happy to be here.
I practiced your last name over and over for the last 5 minutes to make sure I said it right. Did I get it right? Ciccatelli?
You did.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Amanda, when we met, you had mentioned that you're the Senior Director of Marketing, U.S. Events at Health. It's a very large conference in the healthcare industry. Some of my other guests have actually mentioned being there and even winning awards and stuff like that. So it's very cool to get a little cross-pollination there. But if you don't mind, tell everybody a little bit about you, your role, and who Health is, Health Conferences.
Yeah, sure. So like you said, I am the senior director for our U.S. events, and I run marketing across health, which many of you may know if you're in the healthcare industry, HLTH, but we actually pronounce it health. And VIVE. So Health is our large flagship event that covers healthcare innovation across the board. We have like 13,000 attendees attend that every year. And then VIVE is our digital health event, which is slightly smaller, around 9,000 attendees, which is actually coming up February 22nd to the 25th in LA, if anyone's interested. Health Inc. actually owns those events. We also have a Health Europe that we launched a few years ago in Amsterdam. And then we also have something called our Health Platform, which is a content hub. All of our articles, webinars, long form interviews, like really reports, trend pieces, like anything more extensive live on there. So that's Health in a nutshell. 3 events, 1 platform of content. And so I work on the US event side, basically working on every marketing channel you can think of, email, website, ads, social media, partnerships. That's definitely become a bigger part of my role lately. Trying to find new marketing partners to expand our reach a bit more. That's kind of, and I had started at Health actually focused on content, marketing, and social specifically 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, and then expanded into a more like marketing generalist role. So that's where I'm at now.
Very cool. So you mentioned, so there was the Europe, and then there was the US, and then was it VIVE? I'm saying
VIVE is part of the US. So it's just a more specific event around digital health, health IT.
So that's what I was going to ask, if there was a differentiation between, is it for a specific audience or is there specific content? Okay.
So health is more for executives that are interested in healthcare innovation, just moving the industry forward across like all different aspects of healthcare. And again, we target senior leadership. So a lot of C-suite, pretty much like vice president and above for all of our events. And VIVE is more directed to like CIOs, chief information officers, CTOs, chief technology officers, the people that are making decisions about the technology systems that really make the hospitals and healthcare providers and insurance organizations run smoothly. Without those important technology, platforms, like it can't run. And all the data, security, cybersecurity that comes along with that is a big part of our event. And of course, AI is across everything. It's woven within every piece of the event now, of all of the events now.
Well, we're certainly going to dive into that.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff. I'm kind of surprised that, I've never obviously sat down and thought about it, but it's crazy that there's that many executives that fill out your conference. And I'm sure,
I know.
you guys have gotten big, but I'm sure that's not 100% of the executives out there, right? So
No, there's
it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, I mean, healthcare as an industry is huge.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of business to be done, deals to be done. That's really what we do. We like help, startups and investors and find each other. We help providers find the right technology solutions for their hospital systems to run better. So it's a lot of like creating these like moments of networking and all these different people that are parts of the industry meet, whether it's like an executive at a huge healthcare system that's, very well known in the country, or like a tiny startup with,
sure.
a CEO that's like a single employee that's like just kind of starting to grow it.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a wide range, but it's still that like executive level of those people that are making the decisions for their companies.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Interesting stuff. That's very cool. Well, cool. So you teed me up a little bit earlier saying that a lot of AI is involved in what you guys are doing. So as you know, I had you kind of do a little brainstorming. So if you wouldn't mind finishing the prompt, I think AI is.
Changing the world. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but
yeah.
I was going to say the future, but it's not. It's here.
Yeah.
And it's changing the world, and it's changing, like, I think about my daughter and like how she'll grow up with AI as part of her normal life. And I didn't. I grew up with, AOL and signing on in my parents' computer room. So it's just going to be such a different world for her as she goes to school and becomes a professional. And it's changing jobs. I think about like what's going to happen to the future of marketing jobs. There's already obviously been an impact on engineering jobs, software developers. And I think, marketing will always have to be kind of like the orchestrator of AI. Like you'll still need marketers to like be project managing AI.
Yep.
AI is going to take a lot of like the creative aspect of the job, which is bittersweet, but it also allows to do the job in some ways better and then faster. Like we've noticed that in our team, like we can get things done so much faster because of it.
It's very interesting to see all the different applications. I mean, I myself am not great in terms of building assets and creative and things like that. And literally just today, my team and I were working on just making a fun like little movie trailer for our business, and it's this is a brand new window and avenue that's opened up to me that I never would have been able to do previously, or at least not without investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So
yeah, that's very cool. What tool? Actually, I'm curious. What tool are you using for that?
It's a combination of Google VO and Flow and all of those AI studio tools that they have.
Okay.
I've been diving into that a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Have you been using any of those?
Not yet, but I'm curious about exploring like tools that create video content, because we definitely need more of that in our socials, and it can be a heavy lift for our creative team to do the editing and on the social side right now, like I'm doing most of it, and I'd love to be able to like quickly replicate like trending content without having to necessarily do the edits myself. So I was exploring that the other day, like in ChatGPT, and it does amazing memes. Like if you just upload what you want done in the meme form, it does it. But then in the video form, it's not possible from what I can see. So that's definitely something I want to explore.
Yeah, it's every new update and batch that comes out, it gets better and better. I mean, we've been playing around with it probably since, I don't know, let's call it June or something. And we were getting the like the words are just random letters, or like a random person or movement, or like they're walking backwards type of thing. And now, like I said, we have like a full on video. So
Very cool.
it's getting better and better. You have to learn how to prompt and, use the
Yes.
tools and everything, but it's getting very, very interesting very quickly.
I feel like AI makes, the user has to be a very good communicator. You have to be able to clearly articulate what you want, and be very specific. And I feel like that takes a skill. I think like not everyone can really like articulate themselves and like their projects and their work like exactly what they want. It's kind of like a skill as a manager, like if you like talking to your team about like clear, deliverables and like the scope of a project. And I feel like that's what you have to do with AI to be successful at it. Otherwise, it's going to spit back the wrong thing and like it doesn't fit what you're trying to accomplish.
I'm going to shout out a previous guest that I had. His name is Adam Pivko. He's a chief of marketing at Direct Meds, and he had said that he views AI like an intern. And I think that's the perfect way to think about it, because like if you go to an intern and say, make me an ad with a smiling person and this product, it's not going to go well. But if you give them detail and say, I want this tone and I want this style and I want it to accomplish X, Y, and Z, then
and the target audience.
Exactly. You're going to get a much better, look and feel and much closer to what you're trying to accomplish.
That's a good comparison. Yeah, I agree with that. And I wonder if he was at health. He sounds like a health attendee.
He might
sponsoring attendee.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So we can obviously go down this AI rabbit hole, and we're going to, but I want to take a quick step back and just learn a little bit more about you. Do you have a healthcare background, or are you just marketing? It's like, this is a cool company that I want to help out and work with.
I do not have a healthcare background. I actually come from a long career in events, in conferences. Okay. Yeah, I went to college for journalism and public relations. I was the news editor of my school paper. I graduated doing a bunch of like freelance gigs. Really, my goal was to be a magazine journalist, like in all the rom-coms. That was like what I envisioned for myself. And then I graduated in 2010 when like that was not really a way to pay bills anymore. And really the opportunities were very limited anyway. So I kind of fell into social media as an alternative career, to be honest. It was not like a plan. It just happened because at that time it was just becoming a job, like a role, social media strategist, social media manager. So I landed, and I was also looking at that time to move to New York City. So I ended up landing a social media, like entry-level strategist job at what is now Informa. I had worked at like one of their acquisition companies they had just bought. And I was there in like one of their very first social media teams like ever created. And, kind of fell into working on events, and ever since then have stayed in the industry. I had a brief stint in software for about 6 months just to try something new. And it just didn't work and it didn't feel right. I've definitely always had like a kind of a passion for the events industry. I love working on it's like a product you work on all year and then you get to go and experience it, which is pretty cool because a lot of products are not that way. If you're marketing toothpaste, you're not going to get to go experience it. It's a whole different thing.
A social media campaign isn't necessarily tangible, but when you walk into a convention center, it's like, oh, wow, this is what I've been doing all year. This is cool.
It's really cool. And you're promoting, the speakers and the testimonials from attendees and all the photos and the videos that come out of that event every year. Like that's a big part of our marketing. And it's all like, it's real, it's tangible, it's an experience you can literally like touch and smell. And so I love that about events. So I'm definitely here to stay. And I've worked across a lot of industries and I love healthcare. It's actually been my favorite of the industries I've worked in. It's just very cool. I feel like we're all that work on health and Vive, like we're working towards a better future for healthcare. Obviously, in America, we have some issues that we have to work through. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
having all the most important people in the country that are doing the work to improve health equity and improve access is so inspiring. And that's what we do. So I love that about working in the healthcare industry, and I, hope to continue. But I've also worked in the innovation industry, which was pretty cool at Informa. A lot of like, tech companies, and just talking about like the new technology innovation across really any industry that's like bettering the future. I've worked in the food service events industry. In the catering and like event planning, like party, like big, large scale party planning events. Sustainability. I
Mm.
worked on this amazing event at Informa called Green Build. And I actually met our former President Barack Obama at that event in 2019. It was like one of the most memorable moments of my career.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I have a picture of him in my office right next to me that I look at every day.
Nice.
Um,
I love
so
that.
yeah, that's kind of a good like overview of the events I've worked on. I'm trying to think. And then a little bit in content marketing. If you're familiar with content marketing world, it's like the biggest and the only content marketing event in the US. It's very well known in Cleveland, Ohio every year. So yeah, a lot of different industries. So I feel like I know a lot of random information about like all these different industries. And now I'm much deeper into healthcare and learning about how, the payers and the providers and the investors and the startups like all work together and why they would want to attend. And they all have very different reasons. So that's a big part of our marketing strategy is like talking to them and why each of them would want to come.
Very cool. So I definitely want to dive into the marketing stuff. As a marketing nerd myself, I love to kind of get under the hood there. But before we do, I want to talk about just the event itself. So you've worked on a lot of different events. Earlier on in this conversation, and when we met originally, you've talked about the incredible growth that has happened and the expansions. What is it that you think, if you compare this event or this organization to other ones, that it just does so well, that has really kind of like led to this growth and this trajectory that it's on right now?
I think it's a mixture of two really powerful things at our company, our content team and our what we call our Connect program. So our content team is the team that organizes and recruits all the speakers and creates the agenda. So that's really like the main, part of an event of any conference. Really, the agenda is really important. Who
Yep.
the speakers are, what they're talking about. The topics need to be extremely on, timely, trending, important to the people that are attending, the people that are sponsoring. They're not going to come to listen to old news and like
Yep.
old topics that aren't relevant in 2025 and in the future past that. So our content team does an amazing job of doing that for all of our events. And without their agenda and the speakers that they put together, we wouldn't have a lot to promote and market, right? So that's a really important part. And that's why people come back, year after year. That's why we get new customers, because they're looking at the website and they're seeing this incredible speaker lineup and these topics that they can connect with, and that, if they're having challenges, they know they can come and like learn how to solve the challenges at health through these conversations. For example, we've also had some like really big celebrity names that attract a lot of attendees. So, the last few years at Health, we've had Halle Berry talking about menopause, Nick Jonas talking about diabetes.
Interesting.
We've had the former First Lady of the United States talking about women's health, as well as Maria Shriver talking about women's health. Lenny Kravitz spoke about oral healthcare and the importance well beyond your teeth and your mouth, and his organization in the Bahamas. Um, Howie Mandel spoke about OCD and his struggle and journey with that. We've had a
Very
lot of
famous germaphobe. Yes.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost broke up his marriage. Like
Yeah.
he goes into his whole story, and it's really interesting to hear from these people that have such a presence online and with the public about like their personal stories with healthcare struggles and what they've done with their means to be able to help the people, help people in the world, and like creating organizations that can help fund, innovation or just like access to healthcare for people in the United States and in the world. So that's pretty cool and inspiring, and obviously not hard to market, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we have that, and then we have our, like I said, our Connect program, which goes across all of our events. For health, it's called Market Connect, and for VIVE, it's called Provider and Payer Connect. And the purpose of this program is to have one-on-one double opt-in matchmaking between providers, payers, which means healthcare systems like your doctor, your hospital, payers, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, those three kind of areas matching with technology providers. So basically they get set up in these like speed dating situations through an app, and they sit down for like a 10-minute conversation to learn. The provider or the payer learns about the technology from like the startup or just the technology solution provider, and they kind of give
Interesting.
Yeah. And from these conversations, a lot of partnerships are made. A lot have come out of Health and Vive and Health Europe from those one-on-one conversations. So that's an extremely valuable part of our events. It's definitely a big part of our marketing. And I think we're pretty well known for the success of those Connect programs. So I would say between that and the content, that really makes us a leader in the industry, in the events industry and the healthcare industry.
That's very cool. I think it's things like, I don't want to talk bad on healthcare, but it's not necessarily like the most, like sexy, or like doesn't necessarily get out there and like change, get out of its way, if you will. But to hear that it's harnessing the power of celebrity and, trying something like this speed dating thing is very, very cool. And I think, again, this is exactly why you brought it up, but that shows why you have been so successful. Because there are, some ideas out there, there's some risks being taken and things like that. That's very cool to kind of hear, people are thinking out of the box.
I think something else worth mentioning, our creative team, we have a really talented in-house creative team. So they're not just graphic designers. These guys are like next level creative minds that do animation and stage design. And like our head of design actually created our mascot, Petunia, who is a unicorn. If you go to our website or any of our social media for health, you will see her. So he like crafted this whole idea and he created her. And she's kind of immersed in all of our marketing for health. Not for Vive. Vive doesn't have a mascot like Petunia, but the reason behind Petunia as a unicorn is because health started really focused on unicorn startups. That was a big attendee base for health when they first launched. So it made a lot of sense. And it still makes sense because we have a big startup. Part of our attendees are startups and investors. So Petunia,
is there a difference between unicorn startups and startups, or is this just kind of a term that you guys like to use?
Yeah, unicorn startup is, I don't know the exact number here. I'd have to probably ask ChatGPT, but it's a specific amount of money like raised in a short time to make them a unicorn. So
Okay.
it's like an uber successful startup, like very early on.
Got it.
So investors like really look to, I guess, invest in unicorns, and then they come to health for healthcare
Got it.
unicorns. So yeah, that's where that came from. So she's very much across all of our marketing. We have fun with her on social media. She actually comes to the event in costume. We hire an actor who dresses up in this like giant unicorn costume. And then this year I wasn't there because I was on maternity leave, but we had like this blow up petunia over the top of the show floor, like floating like a Macy's parade kind of vibe.
Nice. I love that.
So that's really fun, and that's all of our creative team. And then our stages are just amazingly designed. Like every stage has its own theme. You kind of feel like you're like in this whole experience when you go to health. It's not just a stale expo floor.
Yep.
It's you immerse yourself into the health like universe. It's very, very cool. My first time going, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe what what I was in compared to my experiences in the past. It was just very different and very creative. Um,
It makes a difference.
it makes a huge difference, and people remember that. So attendees remember that. They find it really fun, really different. They come to health not just to network and learn and take back, to their jobs like these new ideas and innovations, but they also come and have fun and
Hmm.
let loose and like see the creativity that we're trying to like create this space for them to feel that they can kind of like do anything, like, that their mind put their minds to in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I think our creative team makes that possible with all the colors and designs and experience that they create. It's really fun.
That's so cool. I mean, as a marketer, I'm buzzing with wow, like all these shareable moments too, right? Like there's so many pictures and videos you
Oh
can
yeah,
send on social media, which is huge to help it grow.
absolutely.
So it's very cool to kind of hear that the effort and the investment is being put into it, and there's a real ROI to it. So
Hmm.
awesome. Well, let's keep leaning into marketing, but throw in that AI lens. So you had started off by mentioning that you kind of handle a lot of different channels and workflows. So can you kind of summarize again, just like what your day looks like, or kind of maybe what you're trying to accomplish each month or something like that, and then where you're seeing the biggest impact from a marketing standpoint to help get more exposure, and then layer in again just if there's any AI tools that have been helping you out to become more efficient or speedy or test or whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, a typical day, I'll just share a little bit of our like team dynamic because it's
Sure.
definitely not just me on the team. We have a pretty big marketing team now. When I started at Health, it was three of us. I was like the third marketer. Now we have one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. I think it's eight
Nice.
across globally.
It's a solid team.
Yeah, it's solid. Um, And, now we're all kind of like more specialized in our roles. So we have a digital team that's based out of London, and they manage our HubSpot and like our email operations, really the operations side, like all the segmentations that we want to do with our emails and building those emails and, keeping on top of the analytics, the open rates, all that.
Hmm.
Um, we have the event marketers, myself, my colleague in New York, who kind of like work across the US events, doing all the different things that we need to do. We have our head of global marketing who's across the entire business, events, digital, and our platform, who also we have a person that runs marketing just for like the platform. So like I mentioned, like with the articles and the webinars and things, that's like a different kind of strategy. There's actually nine of us. Then we have a head of media who manages the media relationships, like partnerships, and then
Hmm.
getting media to attend, which is really important. we had like a big presence through New York Stock Exchange actually this year at Health, because of him, and just getting placed into the right hands of media to get promotions before the event, during the event, and after the event. So my day-to-day is really planning out campaigns on through email and social, like through Asana, and like planning ahead, like, okay, what kind of looking at our marketing strategy, which we do, pretty much like a year in advance for every new year. And thinking like, okay, like in the next month, here's our email campaigns and our social campaigns and our ads, and like how it's all going to connect and what copy is going to be written for those, what assets we need in terms of creative, whether we do it in Canva or we have our creative team do some original stuff themselves. Sometimes they create things and they put them in Canva for us to then like make edits to copy and like small changes. So kind of planning that out pretty much like every day and then executing on it, is basically my role. And like, whether I'm writing copy for next week, that then goes into the hands of the digital marketer running HubSpot for that week. Like she'll want to get the email copy, the creative, at least a week in advance to then be able to test it, and get it scheduled like as far in advance as we can. Because we used to work a more not as organized and ahead as we are now, and it caused problems. It sometimes would, we would have like mistakes that weren't caught. So now we're in a better place partially because of AI and just planning ahead, to be able to be more polished and ready. So like, some of the planning and weekly work involves working with our content team, like I mentioned about the speakers and the agenda. So a lot of our promotions, like right now for VIVE, we just released the agenda at a glance. Next week, we release the preliminary agenda, which is like the big announcement. It's like the almost final agenda, but not quite. So working with them on, okay, what are we going to feature? We suggest we feature these sessions and these speakers. Do you guys agree? Like, here's the copy. Can you share edits by end of day Friday? Like a lot of that, like back and forth. And then if we're wanting to feature a specific keynote next week, for example, we often have to work with not only the content team, but the keynote team, because they can be very strict about what is written and what the graphic looks like, and they have to approve everything. Sometimes government speakers, for example, we have a lot of government for both US events. Sometimes we cannot mention registering in their promotion. We have to literally lead people to just view the agenda or like view the website, because they cannot say like we're promoting any sort of payment come to the event. So there's tricky nuances like that across all the speakers and sessions. So we have to work closely with the content team on that. And I feel like that does take a lot of our time on the marketing team.
Sure.
Like Rob Lowe spoke at Health this past fall. And his team was very strict on the photos of him that we could share after his session. The copy for social had to be approved and edited before we left for the event. Anything we talked about for him had to be approved. So stuff like that comes up, and it's very, very tricky. And we do caricatures for our speakers. It's a really fun brand thing that our event, Shop Talk, and Money 2020, all founded by our CEO, John Weiner. We do caricatures. So that's another thing that like has to be approved by speakers, and sometimes it has to be adjusted.
Can't have the nose too big or something. Like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had that. with Ashanti, actually. Ashanti was one of our performers a couple years ago, and like we had to keep like adjusting her face, like her nose and her jawline. It was a whole thing.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that takes up a lot of back and forth time.
You're just
So
losing the point of it all at that point.
I know, it's crazy,
I
but
get it.
that's
Yeah.
marketing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's just so AI really helps us. We can like do stuff like that, and then we can plug in like, okay, we need a variety of emails over the next 2 weeks on targeting providers, targeting investors, startups, pharmaceuticals, employers, and the list goes on. We can kind of come up with a series of targeted emails to our audiences that we want to reach, and a schedule for those, and making them customizable with the help of AI, that if we were doing manually, it would take us, hours upon hours upon hours. So that helps so much. And like teaching ChatGPT or another AI tool, like kind of what health is, what VIVE is. These are our target audiences. And we've been doing that now for many months. So now when we plug things in, it already knows. It has the knowledge of who we're targeting, the tone of voice that we use in email and social, the brand colors, the fonts, like all of that. So if we need creative done or copy written, it saves so much time with AI now, and we can focus our efforts on other things that are, high priority, and everything else is just like kind of plug and play with the help of AI. So
that's the whole point, right? Getting the
yeah,
time back to work on the needle moving projects, the things that are really impactful.
yeah.
Does health have an official stance on AI? And what I mean by that is like how you can or can't use it, or maybe specific tools that you can or can't use, or anything like that? Or is it just like they're trusting you to be responsible and not tarnish the brand or something like that?
I would say right now, yeah, they trust the employees to be responsible with AI. And our CEO is very much pro AI in terms of like it's changing the world. Like you better learn it or you're going to be left behind. Like he
Yep.
said that years ago to us, and he's right. And now, so we were recently acquired by Hive. They're like a large conference company based out of London, and they also are very pro AI. They like we have a company account with ChatGPT through Hive. Every team uses it in different ways, but yes, they trust that we would use it responsibly. And so far we haven't had any issues. And I think there's always that risk of like you can't rely on AI fully to know everything. Like you can't
Yeah.
just blindly, say, write me a article about um like Medicare or
Right.
something like, and then just post it. Like you can't do that. Like you have to do your due diligence to do your research, like run it by thought leader experts that know that area of healthcare. It's very important. I think our content team uses AI to build the agenda, because the agenda is ginormous. We have like 600 speakers. So you can imagine how many sessions that equals out to. And
Yeah.
they've been writing the agenda now for the whole time that health has been in business. It's like a big part of what they do, and they do a really good job of being creative with the names of the sessions and all that. So with the help of AI, it makes their jobs a lot easier. But they also like run it by like their friendlies like in the industry to know that it's factual. Like if they're
Right.
writing this description or a title that's factual, and so that's important. And all the
Sure.
other parts of the business now I think are using AI, but I would say marketing and content probably use it the most.
Very cool. So
Yeah.
you are actively, or when I say you, health is actively using a lot of different channels to grow. I'm curious if you've plugged this in, like any of the data or anything like that, into an AI or an analytics tool, and like, have you received any like interesting insights that maybe you hadn't thought about, or even couldn't have thought about, just because a human can't process what AI can? Have you guys been tapping into that yet?
What do you mean exactly? Like putting data around marketing?
Yeah, like maybe pulling in email data and using it to inspire a Facebook campaign or,
Oh,
Google
okay.
search queries to say, hey, we should be using this in our, agenda, like whatever it is. I'm just curious
Right,
if there's any
right.
kind of cross-channel insights.
You know what? As far as I know, we have not, but we should. We really should do more of that. Yeah, I feel like we probably haven't tapped into that enough. Um,
That's a
but
whole nother ball of
it's
wax.
kind of a
Like,
whole nother realm. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know like other members of the team have used it for like creating apps to make workflows better and faster. Like I know our head of global marketing has done that like for the sales team, like a workflow for them to make things a little bit easier. And just like trying to find solutions to make things that feel clunky less, less clunky has kind
sure.
of been our thing lately, I feel like. But tapping into like, yeah, sharing data and asking for recommendations of new, ways to improve our marketing strategy, I think would be the next step. And we'll probably do that in 2026. I think also the idea of like, what's it called? Instead of SEO,
GEO.
yeah, I think we're going to explore that. I feel like that could be a new part of 2026 marketing spend. Um, so there's a lot I think that we're going to be looking into in the new year.
Very cool. Very cool. So the last kind of very specific question I wanted to ask is, how about the day of the event? Have you seen anything change in terms of how you guys operate or I don't know, just even how you staff or whatever it may be? Like, has AI been introduced? Maybe there's a demo done or something like that on the floor. I'm just curious if AI has been introduced because it's obviously thought of as a digital tool, but it certainly
Yeah.
can penetrate the physical world at these points. So,
Yes,
is it being used at all real time the day of the event?
it is. We actually introduced a chat bot at Health 25 called Clara. She has a name, Clara.
Nice, nice.
She was on our website. She would literally pop up. It's not there anymore because the event's over, but her face would pop up. She looks like a human. And she would talk, and you could ask her questions about the event. And we spent months feeding her all the information about every little detail about the event so that she could answer any question. Marketing did that. And it was really fun. And then on site, there was like a actual Clara, like digital screen of her, and attendees could go up to her on the show floor and ask her questions like
Very
where
cool.
is the this stage? Where is this speaker speaking? Where is this booth? And like she would direct them if they were curious about like what is Market Connect? She'll explain. When is the industry night reception tonight? She would, say when and where. So all the information. She was our like AI chatbot. That was the first time we ever did anything like that, and it was very cool. It was very well received by attendees. It was helpful because the show floor can be so overwhelming. The whole event is on a show floor at the Venetian. It's like the
Sure.
largest show floor probably in the country, and you walk like 25,000 steps a day just to get around the event. So you need, this customer service like this helps a lot with that.
Yeah.
Just people are confused and they need help, and there she is to help them. And then also on the website, and we're doing the same thing for Vive. We're going to launch it um, pretty soon. So it's an exciting way to use AI, I think.
That's a perfect application. And I think you guys are in a good spot. Like the first time you do it is probably difficult and very stressful, but now you
Yeah,
can just iterate and improve from here. So
right.
that's very cool. I think my final question that I wanted to jump into before we go into rapid fire, I always ask everybody this. I know it's a tough question, so sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. Curious if you see anything kind of in the future, how you see AI integrating into events, even more in the future. Maybe it's just next year or 5 years down the road, whatever it is. I'm curious if you
Yeah.
have any thoughts there.
I mean, I feel like won't we come to a time where we won't use our phones as much and we'll literally be like thinking something and AI somehow like gives us the answer or like leads us to the right place. And I don't know if
Hmm.
that's like something we have to wear on ourselves or like, but I just feel like
Got
we
to get
won't
that Neuralink chip
I
installed
don't,
in
yeah, like I don't
there.
know. I just feel like we won't be relying on our phones as much in the future. And maybe
Yeah,
this is like 20, 30 years away. I don't know. But like, and I think I did see something Elon Musk did mention about that, like far in the future, like we won't really need our phone. Like we're all obsessed with our phones. We're on our phones. We have tech neck, like from looking at
yep,
our phones. And I just don't, I feel like it's going to become even easier and we're going to think something and AI will be the thing that gets us what we're thinking or what we need in that moment. So that's
sure.
just my opinion. I guess we'll see what happens. And that could be
I
really useful at a huge event.
100%, 100%. There's a part of me that's like, let's do it. That's awesome. And then I'm just like, man, that's so weird,
I
But
know.
I mean, to your point earlier, like if our kids are growing up in this stuff, they're not going to be as worried about it, right? And just gonna be like, hey, this is just
No,
natural. So yeah,
it'll be normal for them. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. All right, awesome. I'm gonna jump into our 5 rapid fire questions. Are
All
you
right.
ready? Buckle up. I ask everybody this because I just find it interesting. I love automation. I'm leaning into it as much as possible. So, in terms of it, could be your professional life, your personal life, or otherwise. If you could just snap your finger and have just this beautiful, perfect, fully built out automation installed into your life, what would it be?
Something to cook and serve food. Like
That's probably the best
100%.
answer.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody says that. Either that or laundry,
Yeah.
right? Um, Definitely food. Like I would love to just magically have like a meal every time I want it or like a smoothie every time I want it and have it automated.
I have this list of what I call my Sunday tasks that are just like it's just you prep for the week ahead, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's so time consuming. So if I could automate a bunch of those, I'm
Yeah,
right there with you. That'd be great.
absolutely.
All right. Question 2. What is your favorite moment, either at health or another event, just in terms of prepping or at an event? Was there just this like kind of big, wow, this was really cool or really worth it or whatever, maybe a risk you took? Is there like a favorite moment from any of these events?
Hmm. That's a hard one. I feel like I've had so many, but um I mean, I don't know if it relates to marketing in any way. But just like I said, meeting Barack Obama was like
Sure.
such a highlight of my career in events. Um, like shaking his hand and taking a picture with him. And
Hearing that deep voice.
yeah, that was definitely a highlight in my over 15 years working in events for sure. Oh,
Very
and
cool.
also Martha Stewart. I met her.
Oh,
I
nice.
think she's so cool. I loved her documentary. She's a real badass.
Yeah.
And she spoke actually like I think it was like a year after she got out of jail. It was a few years. So she talked about that experience and like her comeback. That was kind of her comeback like tour.
Okay.
So that was very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Number 3. If health pivoted and started to give out non-health related awards to individuals, what award would you win?
Huh. What award would I win? I feel like I would get like most flexible. Like
Okay.
I feel like I'm just I try to be like easy to work with, flexible, like we always have these like urgent things in marketing, like everything's a fire, of course. But at the end of the day, like I try to be like, hey, we're all just trying to do our jobs and get through the day. And
Mm-hmm.
I just try to be flexible and understanding, and try to like kind of share that energy with my team.
Sure.
And I think that's probably what people would say about me. And I
Flexibility is
won
good.
an award last year, Women to Watch for the Industry, and I think I mentioned something like that in my interview.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said you did win it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like part of this list. It was
okay.
like the women, it was 10 of us, and they do it every year, the Trade Show Executive Magazine. So 10 of us were nominated, and we all got interviewed and like talked about like why you were nominated and what your strengths are. And I think I mentioned that.
Very cool. Well, congrats
Yeah,
on that. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
All right. Question number 4. Whether it's your own opinion or others, do you have a celebrity lookalike or doppelganger?
Huh. I don't think I've really ever been compared. It's funny, one time actually, like 10 years ago, somebody stopped me in a coffee shop and said I looked like Jennifer, I'm forgetting her last name. She was in the Hunger Games. What's her
Jennifer
last?
Lawrence.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
I think it was the way my hair was and like I don't know, but they were like you look
You
a
were
lot
just carrying a bow around?
I don't know. That was the one time like some stranger stopped me and was like, "Oh my God, you look like a celebrity." So yeah, Jennifer Lawrence.
There's worse people to be compared to. So
Exactly. I was
yeah.
flattered. I was very
Yeah.
flattered.
All right. Last one, number 5. Are you a salty, savory, or sweet person?
So it's hard because I guess I've always been a sweet person, but then when I was pregnant, I was like salty, savory, and I feel like I've kind of come out of like now that I'm postpartum, I'm still kind of that way. So maybe I'm changing.
Okay. Okay.
But I've always been a sweet person until I got pregnant.
I'm right there with you. I still got my sweet tooth to this day, so
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere.
yeah.
Well, awesome. So last here, we've approached the open forum section. Is there anything that you're just passionate about that maybe we didn't discuss that you just want to bring up and share?
I guess just women's health is obviously very top of mind for me, as a new mom, and it's a big topic at our events, both Health and VIVE and Health Europe, and our articles and content on our platform. And I just think women's health needs to be a focus, across the industry, and we need to keep talking about it. And I know we will be talking about it at Health. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And it's great to have people like you leading the charge.
Thank
So
you.
that's awesome. Well, Amanda, I appreciate you so much for joining. Everybody can check you out at Amanda Ciccatelli on LinkedIn. Is there any other socials that you want to throw out there that people can reach out if they want to?
I think that's the best one. Yeah, that's
Cool.
perfect.
And then health is HLTH.com if they want to learn more about any of the events or the content. It's a great website. You guys have a lot of stuff on there. So, yeah, Amanda, thank you again for joining the Brainiac Blueprint today. Please look at the camera and say, "Stay brilliant, Brainiacs."
Stay brilliant, Brainiacs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It was fun.